Well, welcome to the Clifton Worley Show. Today, as our guest, we have Dylan Mckerchie of Dylan Pickups. Hey, Dylan.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Just excited about this chance to get to talk to you. I don't think we've ever talked except for a few messages back and forth on Facebook and stuff.
No, not really. Just within threads and various
Yeah,
stuff like that. You
and
know.
and I've seen you out there a while. I think I've been in this in part of these groups and stuff for about the last 3 or 4 years. And you've pretty much been around as long as I've been involved in these, engaged in these groups. And you've got Dylan pickups,
Mm-hmm.
but I've noticed where you build guitars as well, and I see
Yes,
some
we
there
do.
hanging on your wall.
Yep. Yep.
And well, tell me a little bit about your company and how you got started, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Um, I've been playing guitar all my life since I was a kid. My dad had a guitar shop when I was a kid. We sold Gibsons and Fenders and Martins and Ovations. We had a dealership and a and recording studio and did a bunch of production stuff. My dad was a producer and he worked for PBS and a long time. So I've never been the guy out there playing the solo on the edge of the stage, but I've always been the guy either behind the board or behind the scenes somehow. And so, in my life journey took me away from music for about 15 years. I was a mechanical engineer of sorts, designing dirt bike parts for the power sports industry. So, race engines and doing carburation and airflow and all that sort of stuff, and working with factory Honda and desert racing out in Mexico and and all that stuff. So I did that for a long time, and then I broke my back in four places, and had to start. I almost died. They gave me a 3% chance to walk, so reprioritized. Had to start completely over, and said, a lower impact. No more dirt bike riding for me for a living, and come back to something that I really, really love. And so the pickup thing has been something that I've always done kind of under the table, like nobody really knew about it. I just sort
Mm-hmm.
of did it. Um, and so to monetize it and make it become a business was another thing. So in the 15 years that I was away, I really learned the business side of it. And so one of the things that a lot of these old-fashioned guitar companies don't really know how to do, the smaller ones especially, is to actually have the business and the marketing of the 21st century. So we kind of put that all together and make a really good product and know how to market it, and how to use the internet and how to use YouTube and all that sort of stuff. And then the guitar thing kind of came about like 2 or 3 years ago. My specialty in the pickup business is we design pickups and build pickups for mostly, and this is why, you get on Gear Talk and all those other forums and stuff, and I'm not one of the bigger names. I'm just not. They're dominated by other guys, which is fine. I know a lot of those guys; they're great guys. I don't care about that so much, but the reason I'm not dominating those areas is because our focus has been for the last 5 years or so building small runs for other small guitar builders.
Okay.
So if a guitar builder comes to me and says, "Hey, I'm building 10 guitars," if I call Seymour Duncan and have him tool up a custom pickup set, it's going to cost me X amount of dollars. And we have it worked out. We have a business plan sorted where a small company can call me and say, "Hey, I only need 10." And it doesn't cost him a fortune.
Right.
So you don't see a lot of times the thousands of pickups that I have out there because they're on other stuff. They're in
Mm-hmm.
other guitars. I'm not dominating the market of all the Facebook groups like these other guys are, but we're really busy. And then, I have a friend and he says, "Hey, can you build me a guitar and put your name on the peghead? So I did it once.
Mhm.
And then somebody else found out about it. And somebody else found out about it. And now we sell a guitar almost every week right now. So, which for any small builder is, I'll count my blessings on that.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of the journey that got us to today. And of course, there's more to it than that. We've got more things going, but
Hmm.
this is not about marketing my stuff. I'm just saying that's kind of where we got to today.
Sure, sure. Well, I noticed uh, you posted something a few weeks back about your back, and up to that point, I'd never heard that story. And how long ago was that?
That was 10 years ago last week.
10 years ago. Wow.
Yep.
So, how much of that time was recuperating and kind of trying to learn to get acclimated to life again before you ventured out?
It's interesting. Um, I got hurt on April 30th, 2007. April 30th, 2007. I was back on a mountain bike in probably 8 weeks, and I was back on a motorcycle land speed record testing at El Mirage Dry Lake Bed 3 months later.
Wow.
And then we went to Bonneville and set our second world record that fall. So I was really back in it, right away. I would say acclimating to being in pain um, never really happens. I wake up every day. I mean, there's some days where they give me a 3% chance to walk. I had almost 30 degrees of deviation in my thoracic spine, so I was
Hmm.
broken in half. My rib cage was shattered in the front, and my spine was shattered in the back, and I have two synthetic vertebrae
Hmm.
and two 8-inch titanium rods and a bunch of screws, basically holding me up right now. So I almost died, and I almost was paralyzed from the neck down. So acclimating to it, I don't know that it ever really happens. I mean, there's some days when I wake up in the morning, I put my feet on the ground, and it makes me want to cry because I can still walk.
Hmm.
Like I almost go all the way back to the beginning, like being thankful for that. So, yeah, it's going to be a journey for the rest of my life. So, building everything we do around that is really important to me. So,
Right. So in that, you decide to go off and pursue this dream of
yep.
making pickups. And how did that? How did you said that you were kind of doing that a little bit before,
hmm
just kind of as a hobby maybe. But what led to that decision and kind of how did that build into what you're doing today?
Um, okay, so this is my ninth business startup.
Okay.
Um, I have almost always been self-employed. Ever since I was 17 years old, I started my first business, washing cars, and then the next thing you know, that turned into a huge thing. And I've done many many things. I've only ever really failed at something one time, but even in that, I learned from it. Um, so the business part of it, I knew I was always going to do something for myself. I don't have a real job. I don't like real jobs. I've never,
Hmm.
I've always made it work on my own. Um, but the other dream that I've always had since I was a little kid was to have a guitar with my name on the peghead. I mean, I've always been a guitar player. I've always loved music, and I'm not a good guitar player. I'll be the first one to tell you that. Um, so what I always tell people is I am better at making you sound good than I am at making me sound good. So that's my gift, is to make other people sound good. So knowing my weaknesses and knowing my strengths, um, putting it together with something I love, it was like, well, we're building pickups, and now somebody asked me to do this. Now it's a matter of figuring out the business plan without getting too crazy. Because if you spread yourself too
Hmm.
thin, then you start screwing things up. It's you can't, you either could do one thing really well or two things half, so you really have to be focused. And with my wife's business and the other things that we do under the Music and Mascara umbrella, um, plus I have to build a future in it that makes it to where I do not number of pickups that I can build in a day. So the business can only grow so much, and I'm not interested in having 10 employees and turning into a huge empire. That's,
Right.
you know, when I say Dylan pickups or Dylan guitars, my hands are on everything.
Uh-huh.
And I never want it. And the reason they sound the way they sound, pickups are just like guitar playing. You could take myself and Lawler and McNelly and give us the same exact materials, the same exact machines, and tell us to build the same exact pickup, and all three of us would sound different.
Uh-huh.
It's in the hands. So, I always wanted to be that guy, and so I won't really build outside of myself doing it. So
Uh-huh.
we have to have other things going. So the guitar thing really became that because I love building guitars. I love it. Um, and more importantly than that, I love going out to a gig, even if it's across the country, to deliver a guitar and watching the people's face light up the first time I play it. I mean, that's to me what it's all about,
Right. Right.
So,
Well, that's going to lead me into another area I want to talk on. Is I've seen your live streams, where a lot of times you're going and there'll be an artist, and you'll be like having them play it in your living room or something like that, and you appear to be very involved in your local music scene, which really is, I love that. I think that is the heart of music, and there's been some discussions lately in some of the forums about, you know I saw a guy, he posted something yesterday about, you talk about that you support local music, but you only live stream when you're at a major national artist show.
exactly. Well, the way I feel about that is, and I say this on my radio show and on my YouTube channel and all the time. And when my wife and I do live streams together, I say it all the time. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're Brian May, if you're Billy Gibbons, it doesn't matter who you are. Everyone is a local musician somewhere.
Mm.
And so all those people deserve to be heard. And I know people will say, well, yeah, but the music sucks, or I've seen this band 1,000 times, and whatever, whatever, whatever. And I look at music differently. I look at music like it is an expression of whatever they're trying to be, and it's always a journey. And not to get super idealistic about it, but the bottom line is I like to look at the intent. Like if this band sucks,
Mm-hmm.
but it's because their tone sucks or because they haven't practiced together enough, I like to look at the intent and be like, if they practice for another 6 months, they're going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I see what they're trying to do. And I'll go up and I'll talk to them, and I'll tell them, hey, man, I dig your vibe. I dig what you're trying to do. Like, I always want to encourage people.
Mm-hmm.
And, with our YouTube show and with everything that we do, on the knowledge side of it, that's the goal, is like help people to continue that journey, whatever it is. And so, yeah, local music is hugely important to me. My wife and I are out probably 4 times a week.
Wow.
And Augusta, Georgia this is where I'm based. I'm in South Carolina, but I'm 10 minutes from Augusta, Georgia. James Brown is from here.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Morse is from here. Lady Antebellum is from
Mm-hmm.
here. I could go down. Sharon Jones just passed away of cancer. She's from here. Played with the Dap Kings and all that. This place has a really, really thick musical history, and it also has a lot of national quality musicians that work out of this town.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not going to say it's like Nashville or anything,
Right.
but we're close to Nashville, and so a lot of that stuff comes back and forth. And this is a hub for the Southeast, so there's a lot of really good music here. So it's a good place to be if you're not going to be in Nashville or LA or New York or Chicago.
Right. 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 And that's something. There's a lot of guys that are in these gear groups that are from that area,
Oh yeah,
and that's something I pay attention to. It seems to be a pretty thriving music scene over there. Plenty of opportunities to get out and play, and the cultures there, which is it's really interesting because I think there's some other builders in your area that I'm aware of, and maybe I don't know your exact geographic. How far are you from Charleston?
we're about 2.5 hours from
Okay, so
Charleston.
a little bit away. So you're really in a different music scene from there. You're more like right there on the edge of Georgia, South Georgia. And,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
yeah, and it's like these areas, these outlying areas, especially from Nashville. I want to touch on that for a minute. Seem to be, if you're in a certain corridor where there's a highway that leads to Nashville, it's gonna have a music scene. You know,
Yeah, and we're right on I-20, which is between the coast and Nashville. So, yep.
hmm and a lot of those guys, they're the weekend warriors who are holding down a job in Nashville and going out and touring on the weekends. They're hitting those spots, and they're going as far as they can go on the weekends from there and looping back.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's hugely and even the guys that have real jobs that cobble together old tour buses and try to go on, five night tours and come back and stuff. They do that all the time. That's a lot of the bands that come through here. So no, it's super fun. It's a great place to be. I love being here, and I like being close to Nashville. We have a lot of clients in Nashville.
hmm
I do a lot of stuff in Nashville, so I like being close to there as well. But no, it's fun. It's fun to be here.
Awesome. Now, I'm gonna touch on something you mentioned earlier. You were an engineer once. It was what type of engineer?
Um, we worked with uh, we worked with airflow and thermodynamics. So basically, how to get the air in and out of an engine.
Okay,
That that's
cool,
that's what I did.
cool.
Yep.
Well, you definitely in a lot of the videos I've seen you post, help videos, you do a lot of that explaining the technology behind the pickups and everything. And I can't
Yep.
help but think that comes from the point of view of an engineer.
Yeah. I don't know if it's so much that as much as it is my goal with the video stuff, with Dylan Talks Tone, with the radio show and the videos, is so much of what if we see another post about how can I stack four drives, uh, and what drive should I buy, and um, is this $200 Telecaster bridge worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, there's so much pretty basic science that goes into that stuff that could help a guy make a decision where he's not going through five overdrives to get to the right one,
Mm-hmm.
where he's not spending $250 on a Telecaster bridge because the $50 one will work just fine. Um, my theory behind all of that is not so much from an engineer. I mean, I do use from an engineering standpoint, but honestly, it's they can spend on their hobby. So to be able to make it for that amount of money and for spend this month or $100 to spend this month, uh, you know, try to help these guys to be able to understand what they're buying, understand what all this stuff does, how it works together, so they're not wasting time or money. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. That and that's something. There's a lot of myths out there about we'll use the word quote unquote mojo that some things have,
Right.
And that's very interesting to me because this is a science behind all this gear and why it works a certain way. And yeah, if somebody's just dead set on, well, I feel better about this or whatever, I'm okay with that. But to go around and you know fanboy it and not understand why it works and trying to get everybody else to buy into it, the hype, and then obviously somebody's going to be disappointed along the line because it's not what they're shooting for in their sound.
It's a fine line to balance because my feeling is if it inspires you to play,
Hmm.
then it's worth buying,
Absolutely.
right? Like if this overdrive pedal or this pick or this strings or whatever it is inspires you to play, then you're going to play better.
Hmm.
But the bottom line is people don't realize that the inspiration to play is 90% of the time not have anything to do with the technicality of the gear.
Hmm.
So separating, okay, this is what your gear is actually doing, and this is a feeling. You still should have the feeling because the feeling is what leads you to make the art.
Hmm.
But just know that these things where they sit in the picture. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like so that you can put together a good, put together something cool. And that's what I just want to inspire people to play, but not waste any money along the way and become discouraged by that. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. There's one avenue of that I noticed that I really paid attention to because I had seen where you were playing tube amps and you went to a stint where you had a certain particular brand of amp you were playing exclusively,
Yep.
and then you went on to go to the profiling amps,
Yep.
and you dug in right on there on the front end trying to explain, okay, this is why if you plug directly into this and not doing your research on how this weird animal works, you're probably going to be disappointed. But if you look at it this way and approach it from a different way and understand exactly what this profiling amp is doing,
Yep.
and you're going to get a lot better results. And that to me was very interesting because for somebody who needs a room full of vintage amps, you can buy the profiles for these things and have any amp you want to have and understand. And I remember you explaining it this way, that any kind of client you have that says, well, I have this guitar and I want to get this sound and this is the amp I'm playing, then you can dial it in and use that.
Yes. That has been hugely to me. Um, and I guess my whole thing with a lot of those videos, and you're going to see more of those
Mm-hmm.
coming here pretty quick, is I just want people to see it from a different perspective. Guitar players are so one dimensional
Mm-hmm.
when they look at stuff sometimes based on traditional bias, based on tradition bias. So just look at it from a couple of different angles. Look at everything as a tool. Uh, look at it as a tool and as a science and less as a religion and a belief system because that's what people turn it into. So, just look at it from a little different perspective, um, and it'll open your eyes to more possibilities. Like more possibilities is cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not bad.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I might want to try that someday. Try the Kemper myself, and um, I went through that rabbit hole for a while where I was like, oh, I gotta get this amp, and then okay, well, I know what this sounds like. I'm gonna flip this and get this amp, and I think everybody does in their journey.
Oh yeah. No, and I don't discount the people that like to do that because it is part of the fun. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
over here on the other side, I've got you know, vintage silver tones and Den Electros and stuff that are constantly that I enjoy and I want to buy one. And I've got two silver tones in the garage right now. And, you know, that stuff's fun. But for the practical reasons of getting the work done on a daily basis, there's a different choice for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the 21st century, I really do see it getting to be where a guy's got a telly and a Strat and a Kemper that he's playing every Sunday or playing every Saturday night at a gig, but then maybe at home he does have a collection of old champs and stuff, and that guy can coexist and be the same guy. You
Right.
don't have to be, well, I hate tube amps or I hate profiling amps. You don't have to do that. They're different tools and they coexist for different reasons. I'm still going to collect old guitars and probably have a couple of little tube amps around here and stuff. But for the day to day, get the work done, the
Mm-hmm.
Kemper is the deal. And that's when we do all of our videos and stuff. I mean, that's really what we're preaching. And I mean, you take it to the next level with and we're not going to use any more ebony. And people aren't going to like it, but I don't really care because it's where the world needs to go, and we just need to start thinking different.
Mm-hmm.
So, that as the 21st century rolls on, it's just going to keep happening, and we have to understand and learn how to,
Yeah.
get behind all that
You
stuff.
touched on something there, and it dropped a little bit. I wanted to circle back
Yeah.
about building materials. Some of these materials getting scarce, maybe getting to be where it's available, but it's getting to be the price is very hefty in building guitars using a certain
Yep.
type of wood. And obviously the industry is going to have to go a certain way if it survives, using different woods and things like that. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
So what do you think is going to happen? What do you foresee?
Well, I have a whole kind of belief system and concept on this that I've done a lot of research on, and get some good data on. But yeah, exotic woods are out.
Hmm.
They're just going to start going out. Whether they get regulated out, like with the new CITES regulations, or just based on principle. In my case, um, I don't want to be a part of raping the earth for commercial gain. I just don't. I don't care about it enough.
Right.
Um, I'm not going to say that I'm a super tree hugging hippie. My truck is huge,
Hmm.
and I get bad gas mileage, and I'm proud of it. But so I'm not. But there are certain things that I think there are certain things that I'd like to pay attention to, and where I can, I want to do my part in it. The other thing, so choosing new materials. So we're going to use Richlight in place of ebony.
Hmm.
And anybody that says that Richlight is a less than awesome thing doesn't understand it because it's phenomenal. If you want a fretboard that you never have to worry about sharp ends, no shrinkage, 100% stability, a more stable neck with humidity changes, it's the bomb. It's
Hmm.
awesome. We're going to go with pale Pharaoh instead of rosewood from now on. I bought my last because we purchase our necks for the $1,500 guitars. We purchase our necks. I'm very open about that. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. We purchased our last rosewood. I'm not going to buy any more rosewood.
Hmm.
So we're not going to do that. We're going to use pale Pharaoh. There's no reason why you can't use it. Um, and there is going to be more synthetic materials. Gibson and Fender are all research, and other guitar builders on that caliber are all working with alternative materials and more sustainable materials. And I think the thing that people need to, I got kicked out of a group the other day for sticking to my guns on
Hmm.
this. But I think the thing that people also need to understand, besides the fact that it does not matter, the, the materials in a guitar, and I'm not saying they don't matter to the tone. I don't want to get into the tone wood
Hmm.
debate. But in the end, when you're picking a guitar, it doesn't matter what it's made of. If you're inspired to play, I don't care if if you're inspired to play by a guitar, then the guitar is good. It doesn't matter what it's made of. It doesn't matter where it's made. It doesn't matter. If it stays in tune, if it works, if everything works, and you're inspired to play it, then the guitar is good. So it doesn't matter really what it's made of. Whether it's plastic or wood or metal, or it doesn't matter. I think as we get further into the 21st century, the people that are keeping the vintage music instrument business alive, for lack of a better word, are going to die off. So a forward-thinking guitar company in this time, right now, is going to be looking to the future of the next generation of guitar players coming up and what is important to them. And my kids and your kids don't care about Brazilian rosewood. They're going to care more about sustainable materials. Even our generation right now. Now, you're younger than me, but anybody from the 18, and I've done research on this, anybody from like the 18 to the 35 generation cares a lot more about the environment than they care about rosewood and ebony. And if they want to care about rosewood and ebony, it's just because of peer pressure, because of all these vintage people. So my kids and your kids and the next generation of guitarists that are growing up, that's who I want to sell guitars to. I don't care about guys that are 60 years old that can afford a 1966 Telecaster that costs $8,000, because those guys are going to be dead. I'm going to inherit their guitars, and then I'm still going to be in business. And the guy that is really super stuck on rosewood isn't. So it's a forward-thinking thing, generations out. I'm thinking forward. It is really the thing.
Yeah. Well, I know I've not been able to tell a lot of difference on especially electrics, the different woods, except maybe like the feel and the aesthetic. But when it comes to the tone, I have a hard time differentiating, the difference in the woods. Maybe if I'm playing like a Les Paul, I might feel like it sustains more. But that could be the pickup equation and the gain you're using as well. On acoustics, it's a little bit different. But I think Martin and Taylor, some of those are looking at ways and trying to get people to move over onto some other sustainable woods. And I don't know. It seems like the guys who are in the market to buy those guitars still very much want, like if you're going to get a D28, you very much want that rosewood back and sides. Or
yeah, the acoustic thing is a little different, and I don't want to sound hypocritical here because so full disclosure, I have a Breedlove endorsement, so I endorse Breedlove.
Okay.
So, but Two Old Hippies in general, Bedell Guitars, Weber, and Breedlove really have the reason I went with them, because I shopped for 2 years for a D28 replacement. I have a D18 and I wanted a new one to retire my old one that my grandfather gave me. So I went with Breedlove because of the whole fall woods and the way they, like trees fell over and stuff like that. The way they're going more sustain. So my to be fair, my acoustic is a striped ebony fretboard. It is a mahogany neck, and it is a rosewood back and sides and a spruce top. But that is probably the last guitar that I will ever buy with endangered woods in it. I don't think, and I've even kind of gotten more strongly feeling about all of this since then. But if you look at everything else that Two Old Hippies is doing with myrtle wood and with all of their fallen woods and salvaged woods and all that kind of stuff, super, super cool. And it sounds great. All the stuff sounds great. And I think as people like Bob Taylor and other people in the business, they just have to put their foot down like he's done with the ebony and say, all right, we're just going to do something different.
Hmm.
We're just going to do it. And the people are just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, and I think what
Um,
you're going to find when that happens is the vintage market is going to go crazy, and you're going to see for a while prices shoot up on vintage instruments where, oh my goodness, I can't get rosewood back and sides anymore. I'm going to have to go out and snatch up every D28 I can get my hands on. And
maybe so. Maybe so. We'll see. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see.
yeah.
That's not my market, so I don't. I do follow it some, but because from the hobby side, but from the business perspective, I'm so business minded. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I'm trying to brainstorm,
Mm.
things for what I do and for for my wife's company and stuff. So I'm so business minded that I don't really worry about that, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely interesting discussion, and I think it's going to be more prominent discussion that's going to happen in the music community as these things start to evolve.
Oh, I agree.
Mm.
I totally agree. I'm excited to be a part of it. I will say that.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Well, there's another topic I want to go to here for a minute.
Okay.
Obviously, I mentioned earlier that you do a lot of live streaming, and you and your wife do some of that type of stuff, and it's under the Music and Mascara a name.
Yep.
She sells makeup, you sell music gear,
Yep.
and you guys have a radio show. Is that correct?
So we have yeah, to flush that out. So we have the guitar business and the pickup business, and now we actually Dylan's guitarshop.com, we sell build parts as well. So bridges and Bigsby's and machine tuning machines and stuff. So we have that. Um, the main arm, and that does a thing. And then another income stream we have is the Dylan Talks Tone YouTube show that is constantly growing. We have like 300 videos on there. We just uploaded another one this morning, two yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We have a complete production studio you can see behind me. Plus, we have another one. So that's its own thing. About a year and a half ago, people kept asking us because we both work from home. So she sells makeup, so she's got her office in there. Um, she sells makeup, and people kept asking us like, what do you people do? What do you do? Because it doesn't look like you're working. Because it looks like you're always out at shows. It looks like you're always playing music, and we are. Um, and so we started Music and Mascara, honestly driving around in a car with an action camera to help people to promote themselves on social media. So musicandmascara.com started out as a video thing, like a video vlog that we would do once a week or so to help people market their products over social media. Um, and it kind of evolved into a few things. Now, Dylan Talks Tone has a radio show on kprlive.com every Monday night at 9 Eastern.
Okay,
And
that's what I.
she associate produces that for me. Um, and then we are trying to evolve Music and Mascara into its own thing where we do consumer advice and rating on products and a more vlog based thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we found is that people, okay, everybody knows, and not everybody in the internet on Facebook people know, but everybody knows that I make really good P90s and I make really good Telecaster pickups and I make really good Stratocaster pickups. And my DAF humbucker was top three on Premier Guitar's top 10 humbuckers last year. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I make really good stuff. My guitars are great. That's no big deal. That's a given. I'm not going to put out a crappy product.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to do that. Leslie sells a fantastic product. She has a huge business doing it. So we don't need to sell ourselves on the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What people really want to see, and I would put this out there for anybody who is promoting themselves, whether it's a business and a product and a service, or it's a podcast like yours or a radio show or whatever it is, people want to see you. They want to know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So these stupid, man, I get up in the morning and I throw my iPad on a tripod and I cook breakfast and I talk about, hey man, this is what we're doing this week, and check out this guitar I'm working on today while I'm cooking potatoes in the kitchen. That's what people want to see.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see us when we're at dinner, what we're really like. And her and I, that is really what we're really like. We are really like that. So we're crazy and dumb and do crazy stuff and wear crazy shirts and hats and this is us. So that's what people really want to see. So we're going to start growing that side of it.
Yeah. And I enjoy that, and it's been an inspiration to me, being a little bit behind you in life, where I'm starting to think about, okay, how can I be an entrepreneurial a little bit more, and
Right.
not everybody is going to fit that structure. Some people need that 9 to 5 grind format. They
Right.
just enjoy it and the security that comes from it. But then there's some people who want to live life a little bit more on their own terms.
Yep.
And even if you are working that anchor job, but you want to venture out a little bit and try something new, you touched on a term that I used a few episodes ago with another guest: income streams.
Yep.
Having just as many income streams as you can. Not all of those are gonna, pay all the bills, but even just a little thing here, a little thing here, a little thing here. If one area in you're trying to be in business for yourself fails or is not doing so good at a certain period in time, you have those other things that kind of help bring you along and get you down the road when you need to.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's really important in the 21st century is personal branding.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why the Music and Mascara and the Dylan thing. I mean, you see that Dylan name right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's on every piece of everything that comes out of our shop, and the colors are consistent across both brands. The font is consistent. Everything is very consistent, so that people know us. So that way, if we have to make a change, if we have to say, you know what, we're going to take our radio show a little different direction, if we're going to add a product, if we're going to drop a product line and replace it with another one, if we're going to say, you know what, I'm not going to make that pickup anymore, I'm going to make this one instead, people will follow us instead of every little product, and it makes you a lot more stable in the market if people just know who you are. And I guess that's the thing, I mean, it comes from selling what you know, not what you do. And so we don't make money, really, a lot of money with YouTube, but it does feed our business. The knowledge side of what we do is very good for us. I like to teach people things. If they buy from somebody else, that's okay. But in the end of the day, I sleep better knowing that I'm helping people learn stuff. And that's really where I focus it. And the money it follows that.
Yeah.
It does. But I really enjoy teaching people stuff.
Yeah, and it's a really cool thing that you're doing, and I find that a lot of the really good guys in the business don't mind doing that.
Yeah,
the ones who last.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's funny. It's funny you say that. I think about somebody like, and I know a lot of these people, but I think about somebody like Robert Keeley, who you go to a trade show. And considering if he has time or not, he's just a guy in a t-shirt who will sit there on the floor with you and kick around pedals and stuff like that. Those people that don't forget that we're just a bunch of nerds doing this stuff.
Absolutely.
Nobody's really important. We just, and my favorite artists to work with are all these guys from Nashville, all these country players that are the same way. You go up to a really prominent studio in Nashville, and hang out with one of these guitar players that is a national touring act, and it's literally bare feet, Indian style on the floor, playing guitar, kicking pedals on and off, goofing around.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to lose that, and I always want people to feel like they can come by the house anytime, and I'll drop what I'm doing, and that's what we'll do. Even doing this interview right here, I think I've got a pickup half done
Hmm.
on the spindle in there because just stop and hang out. I always want people to feel like that's what they're getting with us. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, but and I had this discussion a couple weeks back with another builder where he it very much when we got to talking about being entrepreneurial, it was all about the relationships you have with your customers and people in general, and just you know that's the
Oh, was that
people.
with Andy from Sinusoid?
Yeah, yeah,
That was a great interview because he was just like, no, we just want to know people.
that's it.
I just listened to that the other day, and I completely agree with him. I was like, it actually, we build cables here, but it really endeared me to him. It like made me want to go buy some Sinusoid
Hmm.
stuff just because,
Yeah.
just because he's cool.
That's it. And I know for me, just as a consumer, I'm gonna likely more uh, gravitate towards products that okay, I know what this guy's doing and I believe in what he's doing. And not to say I won't continue to buy off the shelf, big name brands,
Right.
but I do like to support that if I can, and it's a
Yeah.
product that I need, and so that's something that I think is a character that if you're gonna make it in this business,
Yeah.
that you have to have.
And I think too, one of, I don't view it as a competition.
Mm.
Um, it's 31 flavors, man. It's funny. Like, so I'll give you an example. Me and Tim McNelly
Mm-hmm.
will get pitted against each other almost. Not him and I, but it'll be
Mm-hmm.
other people who say, well, hey, you should try this pickup. Well, you should try a Tim McNelly pickup. Well, you should try a Dylan pickup in the same thread all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns into uh, like brand versus brand or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tim and I meet each other and hang out and talk, and we don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. There's no competition there. It's all about, and I would learn from him. He would learn. We would just. I don't know if he'd learn from me, but I would sure would learn from him. And we would all learn from each other. And the guys that view it as I'm trying to stake my claim on a particular part of the market, you can get that feeling from them. And I'm more of a just like I just enjoy being out there doing it, and it's not a competition to me. With if you choose to buy a different guitar or a different pickup, there's a reason for that, and you chose it for that
Mm-hmm.
reason. Um, and that's okay because you're going to sound great with it. I'm sure of it. So I don't. It's not a competition to me. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
being part of a community. Um, and my lights are on, man. The utilities are staying on, the bills are staying paid, and I'm going on vacation at the end of the month. So I don't. We're not. It's not. We'll be okay.
Yeah. That's it. And that's awesome because it probably well it's a smaller market when you talk about well it's big at the same time, but then it's also it's a small community where a lot of the builders know each other and everybody gets to know who this person is. And if you're a person who first of all just has good character and is not greedy and just thinks the right way, your reputation is going to speak for itself versus the fly-by-night guy who comes in and gets a bunch of fanboys, and then the next year he's
Right.
completely disappeared and fell off the face of the earth.
I just try to help people out. I try to make it a point to contribute something meaningful to whomever, and I think when I first, I've been doing this a long time, um, and I have very recently actually started being part of Facebook groups more actively. I've been
Mm-hmm.
in them for a long
Mm-hmm.
time, but very recently, and so I think people thought at first that I was, you know, trying to copy somebody or take somebody over or whatever, and man, I don't care about that stuff. I don't. Like I said, my light bulbs are lit up, so it's totally fine. I just love, and I love helping everybody else out. Like doing this whole podcast thing. Um, I love being on podcasts just because I want to help them out. All these guys that are doing giveaways, all these guys that are doing, maybe they need a T-shirt, maybe they need a cable, maybe they need some guitar picks. I don't know. And it's just fun to be a part of it. That's all I care about,
Yeah,
So
and I can see
um,
that you enjoy
I love
that,
it.
and you've been a very generous person. In these Facebook circles, and
No, we try.
yeah.
We definitely try.
Well, this has been a very fun conversation. I've enjoyed it. I really thank you for taking the time out of your day to just chat a little
No,
bit.
no
Yeah. Um,
problem. Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. This has been great. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. Anytime you want to give us a call again, let us know.
yeah, for sure. We'll have to pick up on some other topics later, and and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, sounds great.
Well, thank you so much, man. And I'm sure our listeners are going to enjoy this and just getting to know Dylan Mckerchie from Dylan Pickups just a little bit more.